In the soft golden light of the afternoon, a sleek convertible sparkled like a ruby in front of the suburban home where I grew up. I sat, frozen in my old, reliable sedan, gazing at the scene unfold before me. As I disembarked, my sister Jasmine danced ecstatically around her new prize, her laughter ringing like she'd struck gold. Isn't it just incredible? Jasmine stroked the shiny surface as if it were a precious gem. The dealer was basically throwing it at me. My jaw clenched as I approached, the weight of a long day at the accounting office pulling on my shoulders. Another alert pinged on my phone. Likely yet another dip into my dwindling savings I'd been hoping was a clerical error. Jasmine, I managed, my tone more controlled than my raging thoughts. How could you afford this? She flicked her glossy hair, a mirror image of our mothers. Oh, lighten up. Mom and Dad figured it out for me, she chirped, oblivious to the sting each word delivered. My parents stood nearby, toasting to Jasmine's good fortune. The look my mother gave me was one of entreaty, one I knew all too well. We just needed to tap into that rainy day fund you started, darling, she explained, her voice a soothing balm that did nothing to ease my panic. That was no rainy day fund. It was the $50,000 I had scrimped and saved for a home of my own. This is absurd, I protested. Jasmine rolled her eyes with practiced annoyance. Oh, come on, you can always save more, can't you? You're the finance whiz. And you always say, family first. Family first, I echoed hollowly, pulling up my banking app to show her the nearly empty account. $127 left, Jasmine. You swept out my future without a second thought. My father intervened with a cough. Jasmine needs this for her upcoming interviews, he defended weakly. Interviews? I scoffed, the laugh sounding more like a scoff. For another one of those fleeting passions she abandons by mid-season? That's harsh, Jasmine's facade cracked, and the tears began, right on schedule. Mom, so you should be supportive, not mean, my mother scolded softly, embracing Jasmine as if I were the villain. Always the reliable one, I thought bitterly. I'd been the family's backbone since I could remember, handling emergencies while grappling with my own neglected needs. You're right, I admitted with sudden calm, extracting my phone once more. I am reliable. A spark of resolve ignited within me. My mother's face lit up. I knew you'd understand. Understanding dawned, but not as she expected. Yes, and responsible for all our financial arrangements, I continued, my voice firm. I dialed the bank immediately. I need to close an account, I declared into the phone, heart pounding with each digit confirmed. Sophie, no! My mother reached out in panic. I very much can, I replied. It's my money after all. Jasmine's confident smirk faltered. Don't you care about me at all? She accused as I made for my car. Pausing, I turned, a cold smile playing on my lips. Interestingly, karma doesn't take long to visit. What's that supposed to mean? Jasmine called after me. Just watch, I said, sliding into my car, a sense of finality washing over me. In the rearview mirror, I watched the tableau of distress. Father on the phone, mother comforting Jasmine. They were a perfect picture of dismay, framed just like the holiday portrait I had gifted them last year. No more, I decided. I pulled away, only to stop moments later to make another necessary call. Bryce, it's me, I said, the relief of decisiveness clear in my voice. Remember your advice about not enabling them? I just took it. On my way. Drinks on me tonight? He offered. I looked back one last time at the house, at the shimmering car that cost me everything. Yes, and bring your laptop. We might need it, I replied, driving into the sunset, leaving behind the fragile house of cards. Retribution is a dish served frosty, and my plans were just heating up. Give it 3 days, Bryce murmured, pushing his laptop closer to me as we sat at the quiet corner of the cafe. That's when everything unravels as the bank finalizes the account closure and sets off the chain reaction. I peered over my chilled coffee, the ice rattling softly against the glass as I gave it a gentle swirl. The phone had been ringing off the hook. They've called 18 times since last night, and the messages... Bryce leaned in to scroll through the alerts on my phone. Sophie, you must call us back now. It's urgent. Your brother is beside himself. Can you believe this? We taught you better than this, Sophie. I took a long sip of my coffee, my thoughts drifting. What I recalled from childhood wasn't quite the rosy picture they painted. I was the one making breakfast when mom was too tired, managing dad's ledgers at 14 when he couldn't keep up, sacrificing my dream college because my brother needed private tutoring. And now my home deposit was gone? Bryce's fingers danced across the keyboard. Look here. He tilted the screen towards me. They've been withdrawing from your linked accounts for years. Small amounts here and there. It all adds up. $30 here, $70 there. The growing list glowed under the cafe's dim lights, each transaction a betrayal. Another buzz on my phone. Mom's image popped up this time. Maybe you should take this, Bryce suggested, his voice low. Let them know the game's over. Deep breath. Hello, I greeted, the word hollow. Sophie, honey. Mom's voice trembled. The bank called. They're talking about seized assets and frozen accounts. What have you done? Just what I promised, I replied coolly. I've closed all my accounts. But your brother's tuition and the mortgage, she stammered. What about my needs, Mom? What about the home I've been saving every penny for since I got my first job? I challenged. But we're family, she protested. Family doesn't exploit one another, I retorted. I knew I was still an authorized user on their accounts. You've maxed out everything, and I'm still clearing up your mess with minimum payments. Silence filled the air, heavy and uncomfortable. Sweetheart, she finally whispered, much quieter now. We need to sort this out face to face. Fine, I sighed, setting down my empty glass. I'll see you soon. Bryce raised an eyebrow as I stood up. Heading over? They need to witness the consequences firsthand. I grabbed my bag. Coming with? Minutes later, I stepped into my parents' home. My brother's eyes, red and watery, darted away from mine. Dad was a bundle of nerves, his voice shaky as he hung up another fruitless call with the bank. They're demanding full payment by the week's end, he relayed. Called it an unsecured liability or something. That's my savings, I declared from the doorway. The fund my brother drained for his latest extravagant hobby. This isn't a joke, my brother's voice cracked. I could lose everything. As embarrassing as informing my real estate agent that my deposit has vanished? My voice was steady, my frustration controlled. Or discovering that my own family considers me a mere financial backup? We didn't mean any harm, Mom sobbed, her words muffled by her hands. It's just been hard since your dad quit his job early. I warned him against retiring with nothing saved, I countered sharply. Dad's face flushed with anger. Now listen. No, you listen. I cut him off, my resolve firm. I've plugged your leaks, paid endless bills, kept your secrets. And how do you repay me? By plundering what I've worked tirelessly for? But you manage money so well, my brother whimpered. That's right, which is why I'm severing financial ties. I moved toward the door, resolve hardening with each step. You're on your own now. You can't do this. Mom reached out desperately. Parents look out for their children, I stated, pulling away gently. They don't sabotage their future. The door clicked softly behind me. In the driveway, Bryce's car hummed softly, the engine idling. Everything all right? He asked as I settled into the passenger seat. I guess we'll see, I replied, watching Mom's shadow flicker behind the curtains as she undoubtedly dialed another plea to the bank. Nora clutched her phone close to her ear, likely trying to sweet-talk her brother into lending her some money. Have you given in? I responded truthfully. Not yet, but I'm close. From beside the dusty blinds, Tom remarked, They're at it again outside. Your mother's shedding tears in the car while Nora's frantically buzzing every apartment. I didn't peel my eyes off my screen. This has been their ritual for the past 3 days. Even the neighbors are complaining. Another inciting message from Nora popped up on my phone. You're tearing this family apart. Just then, a fresh voice announced from the kitchen. Actually, they seem quite proficient at tearing themselves apart without any assistance from you. My best friend and confidant, Megan, surfaced holding a tray with 3 steaming mugs of coffee. Oh, and by the way, the collection agency reclaimed Nora's car this morning. Got it all on video, too. Let's see it, I eagerly requested, reaching for her phone. The footage revealed Nora arguing vehemently with 2 unyielding men as they secured her sleek convertible to their truck. My mother was creating a human barricade while my father futilely flaunted some documents at them. Those documents, I pointed out sharply, they're likely the ones with my forged signature. Discovered that gem yesterday. Classic case of identity theft. Megan let out a low whistle. That's not just ironic anymore, it's outright illegal. The buzzer interrupted us once more, Nora's strained voice filtering through. I know you're there. You can't just shut us out. Watch me, I murmured under my breath. However, Megan was already striding towards the intercom. Listen here, you pampered nuisance, she retorted sharply into the microphone. Your brother's done cleaning up your messes. Maybe try earning your keep for once. Seems you might need that more than a lawyer. Tom spat out his coffee with a startled gasp. Damn, Megan. Clearly someone needed to lay down the law. She swiveled back to face me. So, did you go ahead with the identity theft report? Filing it first thing tomorrow, I confirmed, pulling up the necessary documents on my laptop, the evidence of their misuse of my identity clear on my screen. Once again, the buzzer began its relentless drone. This time, my mother joined Nora, their voices overlapping in frantic pleas. Enough, Megan exclaimed, snatching her bag. I'm calling the cops. This is outright harassment. Hold on, I intervened, rising from my chair. I'll deal with it myself. With determined steps, I descended in the elevator, each floor increasing my resolve. As I stepped into the lobby, Nora's tear-stained eyes met mine through the glass, with our mother a shadow behind her. Pushing open the door, she burst through. Do you understand what you've done? Our accounts are frozen. They're threatening Dad with fraud charges. That's the consequence of forging loan documents, I replied, my tone even but firm. We didn't forge anything, my mother interjected quickly. We just listed you as a guarantor. You've always helped out before. Helped? My temper flared. Like when I was 16, working weekends to pay for Nora's art camp because money was tight? Or supporting her through her failed business venture while I delayed my own studies. That's unjust. Nora edged closer, tears brimming. You're obviously just envious. Envious? Of what? I snapped. That our parents choose to indulge you every whim while I foot the bill? Please, my mother's voice cracked, grabbing my arm. We'll sort this out. Just talk to the bank, explain there was a mix-up. I pulled free from her grasp. Like the time you borrowed my savings to cover Nora's wedding expenses, or when Dad took my bonus for her luxury getaway. Each memory stoked the fires of resentment. Those were just challenging times, she protested weakly. No, I countered, my voice cold. Those were trials to see how far you could push me. Well, congratulations, you've pushed me far enough. Nora's expression crumbled. But I'm your sister. You're meant to look out for me. I did. For nearly 3 decades, I shielded you from the real world, no more. Just then, a police cruiser pulled up with Megan stepping out from her vehicle. Officer, she called out, these people have been harassing my friend for days. My mother's complexion drained of color. Sophie, you wouldn't? I would, I stated firmly, retreating back inside the safety of my apartment block. Watching through the glass as the officer ushered them towards their vehicle, Nora turned to give me a look mixed with rage and disbelief. My mother didn't look back. Back upstairs, Tom and Megan awaited with fresh coffee and open arms. It's over, I sighed, collapsing into the cushions. For now, at least. Megan settled next to me, her voice soft but certain. You know what they say about the best revenge? Living well, I finished, feeling the truth of it more than ever. Her smile widened. Imagine landing the perfect house you've been dreaming about, but even grander and more luxurious. And I've found just the thing within your budget now that you're only funding yourself. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt the corners of my mouth lift in a genuine smile. Show it to me. You won't believe what I've uncovered, Bryce said, his laptop screen illuminating the dimly lit kitchen. The clock struck midnight as we sifted through piles of financial statements. Our dinner, now just empty Chinese takeout boxes, sat neglected on the table amidst our scattered papers. Show it to me, I urged, peering over his shoulder. Look at these. He pointed at the laptop screen, highlighting rows of transactions. For the last 3 years, there have been regular amounts of money shifted from your savings to an unrecognized account. I squinted, disbelief etched across my face. No way, I keep track of all my finances. It's the joint account you opened with your mom back when you were in college. The one you forgot, he explained, fingers deftly navigating through accounts. They've been funneling money through it. My phone vibrated. Another message from my sister Sydney. Dad is in the hospital because of you. I hope you're satisfied. Pay no attention to her, Bryce murmured, focused on the screen. Suddenly he paused. Wait, look here. Just look. The screen displayed a complex network of transactions, a deceptive maze funneling my money to Sydney and covering my parents' expenses. $300,000, Bryce breathed out. That's the total sum drained over the years. I felt faint, steadying myself against the counter. This can't be right? But Bryce was already pulling up more records. There's more? Did you co-sign a car loan for Sydney? Absolutely not. Then they've committed outright fraud. He reached for his phone, but a sharp knock at the door halted us. Peering through the peephole, I saw Eliza, documents in hand. You need to see this, she burst in, excitement and urgency mingling in her eyes. While checking the property records for your potential house, guess what I found? She fanned out the documents on the table. Your parents put you down as a guarantor for their condo refinancing last week. What? I grabbed the documents, spotting my forged signature. They're cornered. With banks tightening around, they're dragging your name down to survive. Right then, my phone rang, jarring the silence. It was Garrett, my boss, his voice grave. Sophie, it's late, I know, but your sister just submitted a job application here, listing a finance degree and work experience you need to verify. My hollow laugh filled the room. She barely finished a semester. Garrett rustled papers on the other end. Given your position, this implicates you if it's fabricated. After explaining everything to Garrett and ending the call, Bryce and Eliza eyed me, waiting. Garrett's reporting her fraudulent application, and he's advised me to take tomorrow off to start legal proceedings, I told them. That's not all. Bryce turned his laptop towards me. Remember the private school fees for Sydney's senior year? Turns out you've been paying for it through automatic deductions all along. They said to keep the account for emergencies. Their real emergency was funding their lifestyle in Sydney's incompetence. Eliza snorted derisively. Another text arrived, this time a group message from Mom. Your father's emergency room visit. Blood pressure sky high. Please, if there's any love left, Sophie. Eliza took the phone from me. They're manipulating you. Again, I knew she was right. The guilt, the familial duty, stirred uneasily within me. But what if it's serious? That would be on them, Bryce said determinedly. They chose this path over many years. As another accusatory message from Sydney popped up, I took my phone back, replying swiftly, whatever happens to Dad arises from choices you all made. Choices now catching up. What's next? Eliza asked gently. Looking down at the table laden with evidence of deceit and betrayal, resolve filled me. I'm doing what's necessary, I declared, my voice firm. I picked up my phone. I'm calling the police and then I'll contact my lawyer. The truth was clear, and it was time for justice. Having confronted the stark reality of my family's offenses, I found myself in a relentless pursuit to rectify the myriad injustices committed under the guise of familial bonds. They're still your kin, Bryce remarked softly. Yet, with every digit I pressed on my phone, I felt a liberating detachment. No, they're felons who happen to share my bloodline. It's about time they understand that retribution wears a uniform, I retorted. The sterile gleam of the police station's lights cast an unforgiving glow on everything. Detective Patel unfolded the stack of papers across her table, her expression intensifying with each document. This is quite comprehensive, she observed, glancing up. And you're telling me this has been the case for several years? My reply came quicker than I anticipated. I only pieced it all together recently. Handing over yet another file, I added, here are the counterfeit loan agreements, my signature forged on each one. I never consented to any of these. Aha. And it was your parents and your brother behind this? She queried. Yes, I confirmed, the stability in my voice newfound. They exploited my personal details to secure loans, establish credit lines, even guarantee a vehicle purchase. Her pen danced across her notebook, her demeanor serious. This is significant fraud, young lady. Once we initiate these charges, there's no reversing course. Are you certain about moving forward? My phone vibrated insistently. Another message from Alex. Dad's just been discharged. You're ungrateful. Mom's distraught. Have you no compassion? I showed the detective the text. This is why I'm resolute. They're still manipulating me. I see this too often, she responded sympathetically. Financial exploitation within families is. Abruptly, the door swung open. Garrett, my mentor, he announced his tardy arrival, clutching a thick yellow envelope. Apologies for my lateness, he said, settling down, but I've brought something significant. He revealed further evidence, Alex's sham job applications. He laid out further documents, employer verifications, educational records, loan applications, all falsely referencing my name as a guarantor or verifier. He's been misrepresenting your identity citywide, Garrett detailed, claiming you'd back his fictitious qualifications. Several employers are starting to catch on. Detective Patel's scribbling intensified. This escalates matters. We're now looking at multiple charges of deception, identity theft, and family financial exploitation. My phone rang again. It was my mother. The detective gestured for me to answer, speakerphone enabled. Sophia, you must step in, pleaded Mom's trembling voice. The bank is threatening legal action against your father over the loan fraud. Please, you must do something. I can't, Mom, not anymore. But we're family, after everything we've endured together. Endured? Or do you mean the times you exploited my identity, faked my signatures, and depleted my savings? My mother faltered. We never intended to harm you. We simply needed assistance, and you're so financially adept. Mrs. Madison, Detective Patel interjected. This is Patel of the Financial Crimes Division. I recommend you refrain from further discussion and seek legal counsel immediately. The phone line went silent. That should give them a moment's pause, the detective remarked, collecting the files. We will proceed with processing these immediately. Given the evidence, arrest warrants should be ready by tomorrow. Arrest warrants? I felt a wave of nausea. They'll actually be detained? This is serious felony activity, Garrett reminded me kindly. What else did you foresee? Before I could process his words, my phone was inundated with messages from Alex. Why are you doing this? The cops are contacting us. You've betrayed your own family. You're dead to me. One of the messages was a childhood photograph of us, grinning as I tutored him. The words beneath, remember when you were an actually caring sister? Sliced through me. Look at this, I showed the detective. Pure emotional manipulation. They exploit and then guilt trip you for reacting. Typical abusive behavior, she agreed. Would you like to press charges for this harassment as well? Yes, I replied, firmer than I thought I could be. Yes, I would. Garrett placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. You're making the right choice. They need to face the consequences. I nodded, collecting my belongings. I just never imagined it would hurt so deeply. Just one more thing, Detective Patel called as I headed for the exit. We'll need you to document any further attempts they make to contact you, texts, calls, emails, all of it. They won't cease their attempts anytime soon. So they won't stop? I asked, already knowing the answer. Not until they're legally compelled. She handed me her card, her tone suggesting fortitude. That's what restraining orders are designed for. Outside, as dawn broke over the precinct, my phone vibrated one last time. A final text from my father. The police are here. How could you do this to your own family? I replied, each word heavier than the last. The same way you did it to your own daughter, one signature at a time. Then I blocked all their numbers. Garrett was waiting by his car. Ready? He asked. I glanced back at the police station, the gravity of my decision echoing in the early morning light. Rivera was likely finalizing the paperwork for those arrest warrants by now. It wouldn't be long before my family discovered that karma doesn't just tap on your door. It can arrive flashing a badge and wielding handcuffs. Yes, I muttered as I climbed into my car. I'm ready. They were picked up early today, Eliza declared, tossing a local newspaper onto my desk. The front page screamed, "Family entangled in identity theft scandal." I slid the newspaper aside, wanting no part of it. You should look at this, she insisted, flipping the paper open to the relevant article. They're spinning the story to the media. Your mom's been interviewed, claiming you're delusional and confused about familial duties. Typical narcissistic behavior, Bryce chimed in, standing at my office entrance. When exposed, they aim to discredit the victim. My office phone flashed. Yet another call from an unknown caller. They hadn't stopped trying to evade my blocks all week. Watch, I told them, switching the call to speaker. Hello, Sophie. It was Aunt Linda on the other end. How could you turn on your parents like this? They're heartbroken. And poor Sydney, her reputation is tarnished. Their reputation? I replied, keeping my tone even. Do you mean their reputation for embezzling vast sums from me? For faking my signature? For committing grand fraud? Family supports each other, right? I sarcastically questioned as I shuffled papers on my desk. Oh, really? Because right here I have documents showing they used your identity too. Should I tell you how much debt they racked up in your name? The line abruptly went silent. Boom, smirked Eliza. That shut her down. A new email notification popped up. It was from Detective Rivera. Thought you should see this, it read. They were bargaining for a plea deal. Attached was a screenshot of a recent social media post made by Sydney. My sister ruined our family because she envies my success. Now she's trying to get our parents imprisoned. Support our legal funds through our GoFundMe, it read. Oh, absolutely not. Eliza grabbed her phone, intent on taking action. Don't waste your time, Bryce said, busily typing away on his laptop. Already reported the fundraiser for deception, and I might have forwarded these screenshots to the prosecutor, showing how they plead poverty in court while soliciting funds online. My desk phone rang again. This time it was Garrett. Sophie, you need to come over to my office immediately. Upon arrival, Garrett had numerous documents laid out before him. Your sister has been quite active. She tried setting up credit cards with 6 different banks using your job details for validation. When that failed, she switched tactics, leveraging the firm's reputation. She did what? My alarm grew by the second. There's more, he continued, handing over a letter. She applied for a position at our leading competitor, falsely claiming she was a junior analyst here, and even using your name as a referral. I'll add this to the fraud allegations, I said, reaching for my phone. Already did. Garrett leaned back confidently. But that's not why I asked you here. The board appreciates how you manage this situation. They want to promote you to senior risk analyst. I blinked, processing the news. Your ability to identify and address financial fraud within your own family, and the bravery to report it. That's the kind of integrity we need in risk management. Back at my office, Eliza and Bryce looked at me expectantly. Well, Eliza pressed. I've been promoted, I announced. Eliza enveloped me in a hug. See, sometimes karma is favorable too. My phone vibrated. A new email from my parents' lawyer arriving. Your parents will accept a plea, but they need you to request leniency from the judge. Delete it, Bryce suggested. But I was already typing a response. Dear Mr. Harrison, my family systematically committed financial fraud over several years against me, stealing my identity, and over $100,000, showing no remorse until faced with legal consequences. They continue to harass me and twist public perception. I will not request leniency. Instead, I will provide a detailed victim impact statement to the court highlighting each fraudulent act, stolen dollar, and slanderous attempt against my reputation since I took a stand. They chose to manipulate the legal system. Now it's my turn. Regards, Sophie. Savage, Eliza murmured, reading over my shoulder. No, I pressed send, a sense of final relief washing over me. Just the truth. My phone lit up again. A message from Detective Rivera appeared. My parents' house was going into foreclosure. They were being evicted. I stared at the message, memories of holidays and birthdays, all tainted by deception, flooding back. You okay? Bryce's voice was soft, concerned. I will be, I assured, gaze fixed on the sprawling cityscape outside my window. Out there, my family is finally facing the real consequences of their actions. You know what's ironic? I mused, a small, grim smile crossing my lips. They always pegged me as the dependable one, the dull one, the one who had to support everyone else's dreams. And now I'm the one who's truly succeeding, with a spotless record and a brand new promotion. I shifted focus back to my office tasks. With the office chatter fading into the background, I embraced my new role, even with its responsibilities. Eager to house hunt? Eliza whipped out her tablet, a spark in her eyes. Just saw a listing perfect for a recently promoted senior risk analyst like yourself. I couldn't help but smile. Let's see it. The courtroom seemed far more confined than I had pictured. My parents, clad in subdued attire, appeared smaller at the defense table. In the background, Sydney sat glaring, her contempt hardly veiled. All rise, commanded the bailiff. Detective Rivera gave my hand a reassuring squeeze as I stood. All set? I nodded, clutching my extensively crafted victim impact statement, every sentence heavy with unspoken truths. The judge started to speak. The state versus April and Philip, but paused as a lawyer burst through the doors, whispering frantically to my parents. My mother's expression crumbled. My father's shoulders drooped. Your Honor, their attorney solemnly announced, my clients wish to plead guilty to all charges. A gasp from Sydney punctured the tense silence. No, Mom, Dad, don't do this. But the judge was all business. Do you grasp that this choice precludes a trial and any defense? Their whispered affirmations barely traveled across the room. Acknowledged, the judge responded, sorting through his documents before turning his attention to me. Please present your victim impact statement, Ms. Price. Heels echoing against marble, I approached the podium, the statement floody in my grasp. Your Honor, I began, voice steady despite the emotional turmoil. Calculating the financial havoc wreaked by my own family, through theft, forged loans, synthetic accounts, is difficult but feasible. What's truly incalculable is the emotional toll. My mother sobbed. I pressed on. How do you measure the betrayal? Every I love you was tainted with deceit. Sydney shot up, defensive. That's not true. Ms., the judge interjected firmly, odds. Please sit or I'll have you removed. Facing them fully, I continued. You preached family sacrifices, yet you ensnared us in your schemes. We weren't family, we were just convenient victims. Please, Sophie, my mother pleaded. We can fix this. There's no fix, Mom. You aren't remorseful. You're just regretful you were caught. The judge prepared to deliver his verdict as my father attempted one last plea. We did it for our daughter, I whispered, heartbreakingly, yea, which one? The one you plundered from or the one you did it for? With a thunderous gavel sound, the judge delivered the sentence, 5 years imprisonment with possible parole in 3 alongside full restitution. Sydney sobbed uncontrollably, cursing me as the one to blame. As reporters swarmed outside the courthouse, friends by my side, a journalist asked, Ms. Price, how does it feel to send your parents to prison? They sent themselves, I replied firmly. Their choices led them here. Everything we did for you kids, my mother cried as the officers escorted them. No, you did it to us. There's a difference, I retorted, catching my father avoiding my gaze. Sydney's outburst followed, threatening and desperate, as she was restrained by her lawyer. You're dead to me! And yet, feeling more alive than ever, I replied, That's funny. Detective Rivera steered us away, noting Sydney's escalating instability. At the parking lot, Bryce opened the car door. Drink? Instead, I flashed him my phone displaying an important email. I've got a house closing to attend. Eliza chimed in, noticing the address. The one from last week? That's right. I smiled as it dawned on me how timely life could be. On the same day my parents lost everything, I gained a new beginning. As Sydney's distraught figure faded into the distance, her shouts echoing, Bryce asked softly, You okay? I think I am now. As we journeyed away from the city, my spirits soared with each passing mile. I finally said aloud, breaking the silence, I actually feel genuinely good right now. Beside me, Jason gave a knowing smile. That's because it's a big day for you. Ready to step into this new chapter? Ahead, the open road beckoned brightly. Overwhelmed with a sense of readiness and excitement, I replied, Absolutely, let's head to our new beginning. Upon arriving, Jason declared as he heaved the final cardboard box into my pristine kitchen, Last one! The afternoon sun poured through the large windows, illuminating the elegant marble countertops that had stolen my heart at first sight. Touching the cool surface, I murmured in awe, I can hardly believe it's all mine. You better, chimed in Anna, bursting in energetically with a bottle of champagne. First night in your dream home. Just then, my phone vibrated with a notification. The headline read, Local woman sentenced for impersonation. I hesitated, then opened the message. Don't let that ruin your day, Anna said firmly, taking my phone away. Today isn't about that mess. Our peace was briefly interrupted by the doorbell. Detective Daniels stood there, a file in hand. Sorry to disrupt your move, she apologized, entering. But you should see this. Your parents attempted an appeal. It was rejected. Predictable, I thought, accepting the folder from her. Did they claim innocence? Worse, Daniels replied. They tried to pin it on you. Jason, overhearing, called from my laptop. There's something else. He displayed a bitter post from a relative online. Family betrayals lead to lavish lifestyles. Enjoy the cursed money, Sophie. I chuckled despite the sting. Cursed money? It's my own earnings they never touched. Anna, poised at the keyboard, asked, Want a reply? No, I declared, unpacking. I'm done with their drama. Then she grinned, pulling out a party planning book. Time to think about your housewarming event. This place will be amazing for gatherings. The doorbell rang once more, and this time it was Garrett, holding a fine bottle. I hope I'm not an intrusion, he smiled. Brought you something, and also some news. I raised an eyebrow. Good or bad? Depends, he answered. How about you as a guest speaker at the upcoming Financial Security Conference? The thought of helping others escape financial exploitation was compelling. I'll do it, I committed, inspired by the prospect of aiding others. Garrett handed over an envelope. And here's that promotion we discussed. My phone rang again. An unfamiliar number but recognizable area code. It was my mother, her voice brittle. Sophie, please hear me out. Are you remorseful for your actions or just because you got caught? I asked firmly. After a long silence, she said, When we are released, we'll have nothing. That's the result of your choices, I retorted, surveying my new place, filled with support and hope. But those choices taught me valuable lessons about what I shouldn't become. Ending the call, I sighed, turning back to my friends. Are you all right? Jason inquired gently. Better than all right, I said, retrieving wine glasses. Here's to freedom and true justice. Anna raised her glass. To new starts and to Sophie, who showed that the best revenge is leading a good life and keeping an eye on your finances. Detective Daniels joked, earning a round of laughter that echoed through the entire house, a sound of genuine liberation and joy filling the space that was built on truth and integrity. Fantastic to stand in the middle of my own space, making these decisions for myself. Authenticity over deceit, resilience instead of exploitation, autonomy instead of obligation. Just then, a truck rumbled by outside, its cargo the remnants of my family's past hardships, now being carted off to be sold. Yet I barely glanced at the window. My mind was occupied with visions of where to place my sculptures, what shades of paint to splash on the walls, transforming this environment into a reflection of me. Home isn't just a place, it's where you liberate your soul. That's when Eliza tapped on her tablet, eagerly discussing plans for celebrating my new beginning. A smile spread across my face. Let's see your ideas, I urged. In this new chapter, every action was intentional, every selection deliberate, every effort deservedly recompensed, and it felt absolutely exhilarating.